when people have a better understanding of themselves and have a better understanding of what their abilities are, it helps to change people and the way they perform.
Welcome to the Business Behind Your Business, conversations to help your business grow and thrive. Hi, I'm Paul Sweeney, founder of Pretium Solutions, Chartered Accountants and Certified Business Advisors, hosting the Business Behind Your Business. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Paul Sweeney, and today I have with me harry.nathoo from Keystone Business Advisory. And today we're going to be focusing on some of the critical things for success as a business. And we're going to introduce this concept of mindset. But before we do that, Harry, welcome to the podcast, and tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do.
Yes, good morning, and thanks for the opportunity, Paul. Myself and my team, that's Raj and Rita, we got together, a few years ago and decided that, what we wanted to really do is to help business owners to become more successful in their business. And while the strategies that we teach are around growth and having, improving on sales and increasing your business that way, a lot of emphasis is also placed on people. And so the business owner, himself or herself, and then obviously the people that work for the business owner, because when people have a better understanding of themselves and have a better understanding of what their abilities are, it helps to change people and the way they perform. As you may know, a lot of research has been done in recent times, and statistics show that there's a very, very high percentage, we're talking of about over 60% of people who are not engaged in the workplace. And so the whole purpose of what we do is to get that engagement level up so that businesses perform, productivity improves, anxiety, stress, and morale, all of those things, are managed better. And so, the whole idea here is that if business owners have a better understanding of what their purpose is, what is it that they're trying to achieve, and their people are aligned to their strategic goals, then that makes that business far more successful and viable than any other time when the people do not identify with the strategic goals of the business.
So that's a really important thing about what's actually creating success and what are the key things. And I think we underplay the personal involvement there. So where are like we've talked about personnel and I guess this mindset thing we're going to talk about in a lot more detail, but where are the areas that you're seeing business owners getting stuck at the moment? Like what's stopping them from achieving their personal or their business goals?
One of the biggest challenges that business owners face is that they are too stuck in their business. So they get themselves so involved in the day-to-day operations of the business that they lose focus on the strategic importance of the business, what their strategic goals are. And many times business owners tend to make changes on an ad hoc basis. And as a result, what happens is that people do not identify, so their own people within their teams do not identify with the strategic direction that the business is taking. And that is because everyday things change and people don't know what is really expected of them. And so one of the important things that businesses need to do is that they need to have a good capabilities framework. When they have that capabilities framework and they are able to align their people to the strategic goals of the business, that's when you start getting productivity improving and you get, the morale of the people improves. You find that there's less anxiety and stress in the workplace, and people then all work towards a common goal. And that goal is to meet the strategic goals of the business. And so, that for us is one of the key drivers that we work with our clients, that we help them to ensure that their people are aligned to the strategic goal of the business.
Because I often hear that comment from business owners that their employees or their team members are not engaged. And
Yeah,
what you're saying, and this really is a true thing that we've seen quite a lot, is that it's very hard to be aligned with a goal when there isn't a stated goal or a clear
that's
goal
right.
communicated. So
Yeah, you got to be able to set clear goals. And having clear goals without having your team involved in it means that there is no buy-in from your people. And when people don't identify with those goals because they're not clear enough, because they haven't been communicated properly to the people, you find that there's this disengagement. People tend not to then, carry out what the business owner really wants them to do, and that then results in a lot of people treating the job as just a job. There is no motivation for them to excel in their job because they're just going through the motions of every day of what they've been told to do. And what you need today in business is not a lot of people. What you need in business is smart people, people who are going to be working for you for the right reasons. And there are so many excellent strategies that we use to identify whether the people are the right fit for a business. And we go through all of this with business owners and show them how getting people to identify, for example, what their primary motivators are, helps them then to align to the business and to the strategic goals of the business.
I think we often see a lot of changing environments, and particularly at the moment, we've got a lot of change and uncertainty.
Yep.
And there's a lot of, I guess, apprehension from employees about what the direction their company or their business is taking. And you mentioned about communicating the strategy, but communicating changes to strategy, and maybe even why the company needs to change strategy. Is that also important?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because firstly, I just want to touch a bit on where we are at this point in time. We are living in a time of what we call VUCA. Now, VUCA is actually an acronym which stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And never in our lifetime have we experienced anything as what we are experiencing now. And so it is absolutely important, firstly, that business owners embrace change. They have to accept that, we're in a pandemic. Yes, there's no vaccine, but optimistically, we should have a vaccine within the next 12 to 15 months. It is what happens after that. The volatility and the uncertainty is going to continue. And so what do business owners do? They need to get unstuck, and they have to shift that mindset from a survival instinct to a growth mindset. They need to be flexible, they need to be agile, and they need to be innovative. How can I use the current circumstances that I am in my business to change that business? I'll give you an example. I don't know if you read this last week. There's a company here in Australia, I don't know exactly where they're located, but they in the business of manufacturing stages for events. Right? So they do all the platforms and all of those things that you need to for large events. Now, as you know, with everything happening at the moment with the lockdowns and travel bans and all of that, these people can't survive. Their business cannot cope because there's no need for their stages. Nobody's holding events, and they've got a fairly large workforce. What do? The owners were smart. They looked at what is happening around them in this environment, and they said exactly where is the need right now, and how can we change our business to meet the current need and demand that is there. And so they went and changed their business model overnight and started manufacturing office desks, chairs, bookshelves, all those kind of things that people are looking for here and now, because a lot of people are working from home. And so their business has just taken off because they're now manufacturing quality desks, for home office, bookshelves, and anything that is wood related, they're building it. That helps people to cope with the demand, and they're therefore able to, offer these things to suppliers that actually sell those products to the public. So it's this type of thing where you got to be able to get unstuck and say, what am I doing? How is this virus impacting my business here and now? And how can I change that business, right? Change that business so that I can take advantage of this pandemic and I can turn this, at, adversity that we're in, and turn that into a positive outcome for myself and the people that work for me. And if you have that kind of mindset, and if you communicate that mindset with your people and tell them exactly what you're trying to do now, you'll get buy-in from the people, because if that communication is clear, they can see where you want to go with the business. You get their input into the business, so their buy-in is absolutely critical. They will support you because it's important for them to keep their jobs. It's important for you to grow. And that gives stability to the business, to the people working in that business, and to the community in which they operate.
Yeah, that's great, and I have heard about that story about that change of approach and the change in what that business actually did using existing skills that the business owner and the employees already had.
That's right.
In an environment that they were familiar with. It wasn't like a radical change, and we have seen that quite a bit. And I think that comes from a willingness to see opportunities, but also a willingness to embrace those opportunities that are there in any situation.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maslow, Paul, just to mention on that topic, Maslow actually once said that growth must be chosen again and again, and fear must be overcome again and again. And that is so important. I've used this quotation of Maslow with our clients, and I said, guys, change your mindset, right? You need to find a way how you're going to grow your business. We've had to do that in our own business, right? We've had to change the way we were doing things. And we understand that even now during the pandemic, that it is having a major impact on our business. So we had to tweak our business in a way that can meet the current needs of business owners. And so, that growth can continue irrespective of what the environment is. If you become a bit more innovative, yes, there's some risk that you got to take, and you got to be able to manage that risk. And you would, think carefully before you do something that is going to cost you a lot of money. Like these guys with the event stages, they knew they had the skills, they had the people with all the ability in there, they had the right attitude. They realized that, we've got this wood that we've got lying on the floor here. What can we do with it that people need? And so with a little bit of maybe upskilling or finding out exactly how they should go about building office desk and those type of things, they embarked on that project, and today they've turned that business around, right? So it's not only about survival, they are actually thriving. And that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there are opportunities in any situation, and particularly when we have this sort of abundance mentality, that there is opportunity, that it's not it's not limited. We can take advantage of that. But I just want to go back a little bit here, Harry, because we've talked about this idea of mindset, and I think people use the word mindset quite well in everyday language, but really let's define, what do we actually mean by mindset?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. So Paul, a mindset is really your frame of mind, right? It is your collection of thoughts and beliefs that shape how you think, what you feel, what you do, and also how you see yourself, right? On the other hand, Paul, a business mindset. So, if the listeners are business people, then a business mindset or an entrepreneurial mindset encourages resilience, creativity, and growth. right? So it is a way of thinking that enables you to uncover and see the problems in your business, which are caused not only maybe by this pandemic, but also by volatility and uncertainty of business in general. And therefore, your ability then to create opportunities from those problems, right? So breaking down the barriers that could potentially stifle your growth involves changing your business mindset and the mindset of the people working for you. So as business owners, we are all trying to weather the storm of this pandemic. So it's so critical that everyone, on the team adopts a mindset of resilience and growth.
Now, is that something that comes naturally, or can you actually develop that mindset? Because I've heard the excuse. Let's just call it an excuse.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's not how I am,
Yeah.
so I can't do that. I think that is an excuse which just really, when you look at it, it's a pretty poor excuse. Everybody has the ability to choose. Is that?
Yes. Look, mindset is really what you think and feel most of the time. So if you're going to think positive, then your mindset is in line with, in tune with a growth mindset. If you're going to think negative thoughts all day, that means you are keeping yourself backward. You are living in the current situation that you find yourself in, and you think that, well, this is a hopeless situation. Nothing's going to work out for me. So mindset is something that you can change. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to practice. You have to practice positive thinking. You have to look at objectively at where you are. You need to cut out a bit of the emotion and look at exactly realistically, where are you in your business here and now, and what can you do differently that can change the way you operate. So just taking that step of changing the way you operate and what you can do, that is a change in mindset. Right? That is when you start looking at outside the box and say, okay, I accept that this is where I am here and now. I accept that, things are not going as great as what I thought. I accept that the goals that I set for myself in January 2020 has all been turned upside down as a result of this pandemic, which nobody expected. So, okay, I accept that. What am I going to do about that? And when you start thinking that way, that's a shift in mindset. That's a shift in behavior. That's a shift in attitude. And that can be done. You can choose not to do it, in which case you will be stuck where you are. And obviously that has negative consequences for you and your business.
So when you make a choice, you make that decision to change, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people have trouble going from the decision to change to actually implementing the change. We hear of so many people, I guess, procrastinating about not putting into place their new idea or their change. And often it's a case of not knowing how to proceed, or that something's preventing them from proceeding. And I think, do we make it too complex? Should we perhaps start with the first step of actually, one, making the decision to change, and then identifying what do I need to do, or what help do I need to make this change possible?
You got to be honest with yourself, right? You got to be honest and say, well, look, I need to make the change, and what am I going to do? I've identified what the problem is, and you procrastinate now to make that change because fear. Fear is one of the biggest things that actually holds people back, right? And especially fear in times of uncertainty gets you stuck to where you are because you're afraid to make that change. You've identified the need for the change, but you're afraid to take that step, right? And so that is something, because humans, we are creatures of comfort, and we crave predictability. It is not easy for us to give up our freedom and comfort, right? So you need to let go of your comfort zone And you got to ask yourself what it is that I actually want to achieve. What is the end goal? And if you got a clear vision of what it is that you're trying to achieve, then you got to be able to say, let me take small steps. Let me create small milestones. And that is the safest way to do things, right? When you stuck and you lacking that faith of confidence to try something, you take small steps, right? You think about positive things and say, well, if I were to do just this one step, what difference is that going to make to my life, to my business, to my people? What is that one step going to do, right? We've had a business owner that did a lot of their business through face-to-face selling, and all of a sudden now they're having to change their whole business model to one of online selling. Now they're in a service industry, and they didn't know how to go about it because the fear was that, oh, there's technology involved. How are we going to do this? And we sat with this guy the one day, and we said, okay, we're going to do a Zoom call with you. And we said, we're not going to come and meet you at your office. We're going to do a Zoom call with you, and we're going to see how you feel about that. And we went through this simple exercise of just getting him on a 15-minute Zoom call. And we asked him, so how did you feel about that? And I said, you didn't have to go and buy any equipment. You didn't have to do any of that. And yet you could converse with me. I could see you, you could see me. How did you feel about that? And he says, oh, it wasn't that difficult. So I said, exactly. And I said, so using that as an example, that is how you got to change your mindset and say, well, it is possible. Let me try. It's a simple thing that I did. It didn't cost you any money. And that is how you got to change your salespeople. And he says, well, I've got salespeople that are pretty old and they haven't used technology. I said, well, you're old and you've just proved to me that you could use Zoom. So I said, that is exactly how you're going to do it. And he says, well, people buy if I were to do it through Zoom. And so there's a multitude of questions that then springs up, in your mind. Now people will not buy because they're so used to us coming to see them. And I said, people will buy. You got to change. You got to change the way you approach them. And so your salespeople need to be trained to be able to talk to your clients in a way that makes them feel comfortable. So your persona as a salesperson is so important when you're talking to people over Zoom and trying to make that sale. You got to be comfortable so that your people, the people watching you on the other end, your potential client, feels comfortable and relaxed, and that starts helping to build rapport and build trust, and that's how relationships get built. And as a result, you start offering your services to them. Today, in this new world, in the new realities of selling, the actual sale is going to take a long time to happen. It is what you do before that to make that sale happen is going to be the most critical part. And that is what I'm talking about, that it is the way salespeople need to adapt to the new realities of selling. We can talk about this in another podcast, which I'm going to do on sales. But suffice to say now that the way you were conducting your business before is not going to be the same now. And so you have to change the way you approach people, how you're going to do that business. And sales, coming back to your question about, people identify the need for change, they procrastinate. How do you overcome that? And you have to take that first step of saying that, what, there is support. Now, the listeners that could be, listen to this podcast have another great thing that we can offer them. And that is that we now have a client advisory board. And that client advisory board is so important during this time of volatility and even beyond, because volatility and uncertainty is going to be with us for a long time, right? Even after there's a vaccine found for this pandemic. The thing is this, that the way we do business is going to change, and you're going to need the expertise of a lot of people. And the advisory board actually offers clients this opportunity to go and speak to people. You need to get out of that isolation mindset, and you need to adopt a mindset of reaching out to people and talking to people about your problems, because your problems are not necessarily unique. There's a lot of other business people who are suffering from very similar problems to the problems you have. And so by talking to members of the advisory board, who do we have? We have accountants like yourself. We have tax accountants on there. We've got finance people. We've got lawyers. We've got an HR specialist. Uh, Paul Cripps, who I know very, very well. He's an expert in when it comes to human resources stuff. You're an expert when it comes to accounting and advisory, right? And if people need our services when it comes to coaching, training, and business advisory, we are there to help them. We've got a team of our own that helps people to overcome these type of challenges and help them to feel comfortable to take that first step towards change. You know, but in the end, Paul, it boils down really to a shift in mindset, right? If you start adopting a growth mindset and you are resilient, then you will be able to make those changes. You will actually feel comfortable to make those changes.
Yeah, look, I think, yeah, that's some really good points there. I think we do need to make those changes, because when things are going really well,
Yeah.
we don't feel that we have to make any change, because we don't have to do a lot of activity. We don't have to do a lot of actions. We don't have to go out of our comfort zone to win new business, or to actually look at the services or products that we're supplying. So when things are good, it actually can mask over a whole bunch of issues in your business, which you may not see. And look, we've talked about this idea of coaching and advice, and an advisory board being a panel of experts available to you. Athletes, the top athletes, the best athletes in the world, have coaches giving them feedback. And they're very good at what they do. And the same with most business owners, they're very good at what they do. But it's the other skills. Now, if you're going and trying to learn those skills yourself, you're going to be missing out. The key thing is about developing your business and your team, but use the skills of other people to make that more effective.
Yes, definitely. Why go and invent the wheel when you can tap into the expertise that is available to you to help you make those changes quicker, so that you can get going with what you want to achieve in your business. Paul, if I may, there's just another very important topic that I want to add to this, which is not often talked about or hardly ever mentioned in the media out there. And that is the whole point of isolation, right? We talk about, businesses closing down, and we talk about how many people have got the pandemic and how many people have died, and all of those kind of things. But what about the people who are trying to survive? What about those people? And I'm referring here in particular to business people. Business people are finding it tough out there, and they feel isolated. And so it is so important that they have this opportunity to talk to experts who can help them, because that isolation is not only impacting them in their business, it is impacting on their personal lives, and it is impacting on the lives of the people that also work for them, because those people are going through their own challenges. And so as a business owner, you need to be an authentic leader. You need to be a transparent leader. You need to be an empathetic leader, because it's so important as business leaders that we question ourselves in terms of our own health and well-being. And that is something that so many people don't talk about. And a lot of these things are not reported, of the amount of business people who are actually suffering mental health issues. Now, while we're not mental health experts, but we are able to help business owners just by giving them an opportunity to speak out And in speaking out, there are solutions that can be given to them that is not going to cost them money, but it is simple things that they can implement just by a shift in attitude, a shift in behavior, a shift in mindset that can overcome some of those challenges that they are suffering in silence. And so, listeners who listen to this podcast, I would strongly encourage them that if you are one of them, if you are suffering in silence, that here's an opportunity for you to speak out. And it can be done in a very, very confidential and discreet way so that it is just between you and the party that you're talking to. And that expertise, I think, in many cases, is provided within this advisory board. There are people who can help. There are HR specialists who can help. We can help because we are skilled in that. We've got psychology backgrounds behind us. We've worked in that space. We are industrial psychologists within our team. These people are experts in able to help you to shift that mindset. And so I thought I'll just touch on that because that is something that people don't like to talk about. But I think it is important for people to know that avoid isolation. There's a difference between social distancing and isolation. When you find yourself or your team having low morale or feeling demotivated, don't overanalyze. Talk to people that can help you. Right? And during these times of uncertainty, understand that you're not the only one experiencing it. Your staff, your family members, your friends, and other business owners are all experiencing uncertainty. Be considerate and be compassionate and give and receive feedback. Share ideas and seek solutions to your challenges. Help is just around the corner. You just need to reach out and people will reach out to you.
Yeah, certainly. We don't just do business with other businesses. We're people in business doing business with people. And I think we need to remember that.
Yeah.
Particularly your employees are people. There are relationships in everything we do. And I think when we take those relationships out and the need for feedback, the need for reinforcement, the need for communication, business is tough. And it is a lonely place if you ignore the fact that you're doing business with people. But the other thing is that your reason for your business existing is for something, a personal need, a personal goal that you have.
Yeah.
You don't exist for your business. Your business exists for you.
That's right. And so there's one word for that, and that is purpose. What is your purpose? And so many business owners over time, when they're a few years in business, they seem to lose direction. They seem to lose clarity in their business. They have forgotten why they actually went into business. A lady that we worked with once told us that, I wanted to quit my corporate life because I needed to work from home so that I could spend more time with my children. And that's great if you're thinking that way. And she said, look, I've got these skills. I'm a bookkeeper. I can open up my own practice and I can manage my clients and I can take just as many clients as I need to run my business. Over time, she lost focus on that business. So much so that the whole purpose of why she actually went into business, she had forgotten. Because she is so involved in her business that she has no time for her children, no time for her family. Sadly, this person actually got divorced as a result, right? Because she just did not spend enough time with her husband and with the children. And the husband, while he supported her in the beginning, because he felt that that was a great idea to work from home and balance work-life. And you can balance work-life if you know what your purpose in life is, what it is that you're trying to achieve. And so I advise business owners that, if you've lost that clarity in your business, go back and visit why you actually went into business. What was your purpose? What did you want to achieve? and do a reset, because that is so important. Because all other things then fall apart if you don't do that reset. When you start focusing only on one thing, something else has to give. And many times, unfortunately, it is the very people who we think we're doing it for, our family, because we love them and we care for them. And so many times we lose that focus. Right? And you develop health issues and you develop all sorts of things because you become so involved in your business that you actually lose focus on why you actually went into business. What was your strategic goal? What was your vision? What was your purpose? And so that is, very, very important. That purpose is something that you got to always visit as a business owner. What is my purpose? Where am I now? Where am I heading? And if you feel that you are going off track, that you're going somewhere totally different to what you envisaged for your business, then you need to revisit that and see whether that is the path that you want to now take.
Absolutely. Yeah, we see that a lot, is that the reason why people went into business, why their business existed, is very much at odds with the way their business is being run at this point in time.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about now as in the COVID time, but at the time when we first speak to people, how their business looks is nothing like why their business existed.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that and move forward. And I think we get stuck in this rut, which we talked about, and that need to change that mindset to move forward, to stop doing the things we're doing now and to change, to actually create that business that enables you to do the things and achieve what was really important. So that's some great things that you've shared with us today, Harry. I think, and you've touched on this, we're also going to get you back to talk more about sales, because sales is a big area of need for business.
Yep.
And I think, and again, this whole mindset of how we approach sales and what, how we actually interact with people, the methods that we actually create sales opportunities is something really important. So we're going to get you back to talk about that. But it's been great to have you on the podcast today, and you've shared some wonderful things. And then how to get in touch with Harry. There'll be the link in the show notes about how to get in touch and how to what else Harry can actually help your business with. So thanks again, Harry. It's been great.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Discussion.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's been fantastic to be on the show with you, and I hope we've been able to add some value to the listeners. If people want to have a chat with us, they can, access our link from the podcast that you will put up. Great. Thank you very much, Paul.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Harry.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Do you have a question you'd like our team of experts to answer? If you do, send your question to podcast@thebusinessbehindyourbusiness.com. To hear more from The Business Behind Your Business, don't forget to subscribe using your favourite podcast player. Or you can visit the businessbehindyourbusiness.com website.